Hi, my name is Karis.
Just a second. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yep.
I am the assistant to the CIO here at Emporia State University, and we have a session called How Project Management Saved Our Bacon Again. By the presenters are Angela Neria and Luecrita Haraughty, and I will now turn this over to them. We will have a question and answer session at the end of this presentation.
Hello, thanks Karis for introducing us. I'm Angela Neria.
Hi, and I'm Luecrita Haraughty.
And we'll take a minute to share our screen with you. We do have our PowerPoint presentation today, so bear with us real quick while we do that. Can you see it, Lou?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, good. Okay, I don't have the YouTube up. So, okay, we're going to start out by talking with you guys about one of our experiences with project management and how it did save our bacon once again. A little bit about ourselves. I'll just, since I'm already talking, I'll just introduce myself. I'm the Chief Information Officer at Pittsburgh State. I've been here 10 years. We work for Information Technology Services. We report directly to the President's office. I am a employee directly under the president, and I'm a part of President's Council, which is a huge benefit to making project management work. We are the central IT unit for Pittsburgh State University. And Lou, if you'd like to talk a little bit about your role.
Sure. I'm Luecrita Haraughty. I am the Director of Project and Process Management for our central IT. So basically, myself and I have one other person that's directly under me for project management. We handle any projects that run through ITS, and then also as needed, we do a little bit of consulting for any work that's being done with outside development, or if there's anyone on campus, we're open to doing consulting for them too, as far as project management goes.
Absolutely. So topics for today, we wanted to give you kind of a summary of what we're going to visit about. We're going to talk to you, Lou is going to talk to you about PSU's project planning process and share with you all how we plan and who helps us plan and who helps decide what projects we're going to do. Like all of you, we have more projects than we could ever get done in the timelines that our clients would like them done. We're going to talk to you a little bit about the details of the specific project that really came about in a unique way where project management saved us, the unpredictable threat that came from that, how we made adjustments to roll with the project plan and bring campus along with us, and then all of our lessons learned. So we do have a quick little survey out there, and I'll post it when Luecrita starts speaking. I'll post this survey in the YouTube comment section. If you have time, take it. It's super short. We would just like to learn a little bit more about your project management world. So the summary. PSU was finally migrating from an on-premise employee email system to the cloud. And we had been on an employee-based email system called Zimbra, which is an open source product, for several years. We had everything else in our university really moved to Office 365, but we had made some major moves to a new ERP, and we did not want to do that we did not want to move email in the midst of that major ERP change. So we decided to move email to the cloud after our ERP migrations. So we were very excited about it. We had worked hard to bring campus along through high levels of communication, a complete communication plan and marketing plan. We promoted the benefits of cloud-based email and delivering customized training across campus. One major problem, we had to make the migration happen 6 weeks earlier than we expected. So all of our marketing materials, all of our communication, everything that we had said in terms of a date was all wrong now. And we'll talk a little bit about why we had to move that migration up 6 weeks. So you're going to learn today about how project management really allowed us to take a major migration that was on the edge of doom to a really highly successful, positive initiative. If we had not had project management in place and had experience with project management, it would have been a much different story. So Lou's going to talk to you a little bit about the PSU project planning process. We have a project governance committee that is responsible for determining the IT projects that our central ITS department will complete and in what order we will complete them. This is important for you to know as we go through our presentation today, because it builds buy-in from our PSU leadership. That is really how we get things done on our campus. These folks become owners of those projects, and they have great voices in what order we perform those projects in and what we focus on. So using the university's mission, I don't expect you guys to read all of this, of course. The current initiatives our directives, and the PSU Project Governance Committee prioritizes those projects and requests that have been submitted to us. So we take all those projects and requests and we bring them to this committee, and they help us decide what we should work on, really kind of using a rubric. We do have a rubric, using a rubric based on what's going to have the most impact across campus, who it impacts. Will there be revenue? Will there be loss of revenue? Are these mandated federal guidelines, et cetera? So there's all kinds of things involved in that rubric process. The members of this committee consist of the university president, the vice presidents, we have 4 of those, and then ITS leadership membership. We bring other members into the meetings as we need to. We meet quarterly at a minimum to go over all projects, realign projects, adjust deadlines, move up deadlines, move back deadlines, all of those kinds of things with them. ITS structures its project work to maximize resources as efficiently as possible. And that's really something we try to push out to campus, but all of that is based on the recommendation that we get from this group. So Project Governance Committee is responsible for determining the best path forward. And like I mentioned, it's made up of the president, the vice presidents, and our ITS leadership team. We meet quarterly and we make priorities when we meet. We determine priorities. So Lou's going to get into the heart of how that works.
Thanks, Angela. Yeah, I think Angela gave you just a really quick background there of who the project governance team is and kind of what their role is, and as far as them making the decisions when it comes to prioritizing for campus. So what I'm going to go through is going to walk you through the process of how do we get to that? How do we get to the point of them having that information and being able to make those correct decisions for a campus? So we use Team Dynamics as a campus for a project management tool. We are all very familiar with it. Our entire department is using it in some form or fashion, whether it be through our help desk with the ticketing system, as well as actually the whole department uses it now as a ticketing system, as well as then, of course, for project management. We've been using this tool for probably about 7-8 years now. So again, everyone's very familiar with it. It's pretty easy to use, and we can get, easy to update with time reporting with specific work that's being done, as well as getting reports out of it. So that's why we choose to use that. It's familiar, it's easy to use, and so that's what we utilize. So how do we start? So this is how we start. When we have project requests, they're submitted into Team Dynamics. Sometimes that is the individual directly that's bringing the project to us may submit that, and that's what we prefer them to do. But there are times that we submit it on their behalf. Sometimes those particular projects we learn about in a variety of ways. Some it's through simply a request through Team Dynamics. Sometimes it's in a meeting. Sometimes it's an email directly to one of us, or maybe sometimes passing in the hall and saying, hey, we think we're going to do this. So that's kind of where it starts, is putting that initial request into Team Dynamics so we have written documentation of it. Then what we expect is for the division heads, so provost, presidents, head of presidents council, the student life and all the different areas, we like them to have the background and know what they have as a priority for their particular division. Once they have that, then ITS goes in and we look at all the requests. Sometimes we determine if it is truly a project request. We, determined what the specific timeline might be, and note any priority from that particular division. And at that point in time, we go and we look at our pipelines and we say, okay, do we have the capacity? Can we fit this in without having to go to that project governance committee? And, and that all depends on a variety of things, as anybody who's in project management or worked with any kind of project knows. And once we've hit beyond that capacity, that's when the project governance really has to step in and help us know what our number one priority is for the campus. We have a variety of ways of determining what a project is. As you can see here listed out, there's the number of resources that it's going to require from our department. How much capacity do we have? Can we take this on? How many departments are involved across campus? How much, load is that going to be on not only ITS, but others as well? And that just brings in another level of communication and meeting times and things like that. So we have to take that into consideration. The length of time it's going to complete, that's always the determining factor, and probably one of the biggest ones for determining if it is truly a project. Dollar value is another. Of course, we all know that the more likely, the more expensive the request is, probably the longer it's going to take and more detail needs to be given to it. And then the current state of the program. Is it something that's just literally on its last legs? We have to do this. Is it something that can wait? It's just a variety of things. And then the number of users that it's impacting. And this slide shows basically what is a board in my office that I stare at every day, except for the last few weeks since I've been working at home. I don't have it at home with me. And what this displays basically is just where we're at with our projects. Every project is on this board. It's color coded by the division. You'll see that off to the left, as I'm looking at it, there's the unofficial. So those are things that haven't quite been put in as a request yet, but ones that we've learned about that might be coming. And then waiting is ones that are sitting in the queue, waiting to be worked on. And then there's the planning stages of it. So when we're scoping it out and knowing how to move forward, the development stage, and then finalizing. And finalizing is when we're moving it into a maintenance area, and basically more of project management, finalizing everything out to be able to close out the project. When we go to the governance committee, they are provided this prior to our meetings. So our quarterly meetings that we have, we go ahead and provide to them this pipeline that we've done, which gives them a really good visual representation of where we're at, what projects we're working on, how we've filled up our resource pipelines, and how long things are going to take. Again, they're all color coded by division or by necessity. So the red that shows there, those are what we consider essential projects. And those are ones that have a deadline that's mandated by federal government, state government, or in fact, we can, as a campus, we can say this is essential. This one has to be here, and we will tag those as red and essential. So this is really just a great way for them to see, what we've got. And what you're looking at here is mainly for our development crew right now, because they have a little bit more of the bigger projects, but our infrastructure and networking, as well as our security and as well as project management, are also represented on this particular graphical representation so that they know. And below you'll see it says the ones that are in queue, and we've determined or done a educated estimate on how long we believe it will take, and then official requests as well. And Angela mentioned earlier that we do have a rubric that we can utilize. And this just kind of gives a little bit better understanding of where something falls and how it's ranked, basically, basically giving a ranking of what's important. And that helps with the different individuals who are on this governance committee, because they each have their priorities as well for their division. So that really helps us if we get to a point where we're kind of on the fence of which one really is priority and which one, may not be, then this will help us determine what one really pulls rank, and how we can fit that into the pipeline. So that's kind of how we walk through and get through to where we're at and what we need to do to provide the right information to the governance committee so that they can make a really good, educated decision on what is best for the campus and how to move forward.
Thanks, Lucretia. Now we're going to talk a little bit about project details. So we're going to talk a little bit about the project that actually almost pushed us over the edge. And if we hadn't had project management, it probably would have pushed us over the edge. So a little bit of details. This could have been any project, but it happened to be this project. So moving from on-prem to cloud email, and this is employee only. Our students use Google email, and we've kept it that way for many reasons, and we're very pleased with the setup that we have with that. So our on-prem email, as I mentioned earlier, was Zimbra, which is an open source product. We are moving to cloud-based email, the Office 365 Outlook product, which, like I said, we were using all of the other Office 365 features. So our campus was very familiar with the product, and we were looking forward to that seamless piece of having Office 365 cloud-based email. We were already using lots of other things that, like I mentioned, with Office 365. We were very nervous because we had pushed Office 365 as well as those new ERP projects about just fatigue, change fatigue across campus. So again, that's where we waited on the email side of things. We were happy with Zimbra, but we also wanted to get off-prem so that we could have more storage and cloud-based storage. So the go live date was set for 8/5/19. So we had training materials, documentation, videos on site, on the web, you name it, all ready and in place. We already had some pockets across campus moved and testing and using Office 365. Everything was ready to go. And our plan was to train through the summer so that when everybody came back, when faculty came back, they would be ready to go and have a real comfort level. So we built a real in-depth communication plan, training resources I mentioned earlier. And then per the project plan, we had been migrating email and calendaring data for months. So we had tons of data already in Outlook, which was a very good thing. So I'll talk to you a little bit about, I did want you to see this. I know it's really hard to see actually, but if you don't use Team Dynamics, this is just a really cool, cool visual that Lucretia shared with me. And it's something that if you're interested in Team Dynamics, I would encourage you to go out and check out their website. But you can see these cards on this is called a card wall. You can see these cards on this wall. And this is just a snapshot of several of the milestones that we had to make and by what dates we had to make them. And you can see when you build a new milestone, you put it over here. When it's in process, you can put it in the next lane of the card wall, completed, on hold. And it's very nice because you can actually give a percentage. So it's great when you're reporting out to that project management body. We can really tell them where we stand with our projects because Team Dynamics helps us manage that really well. So I wanted you to be able to see that, even though I know it's hard to see on here. We're happy to share our slides if anyone wants to reach out to us. So the project consisted of several different areas, and Lou's going to speak to that before we move into the next pieces of the presentation.
Yes, as we all know, we need to know what we're doing and where we're going when we have a project. So of course we had to start with scoping, and we knew at this point before we stepped forward and started our kickoff meetings with this, we knew what we wanted to do. We knew what the goal was. We knew what we had set a target date and we had gained approval to move forward. So naturally, we're moving into scoping now. And with that kickoff meeting, we had the project team that we needed. We had defined the resources that we thought would be heavily used. So that was, a few people that were going to have heavy loads, as well as some others that were going to need to be doing some tasks as well. So we defined the steps, we defined the process, and then started creating and assigning those tasks out. Again, Angela said we use the card wall because it's just very easy. It's quick glance, you see where you're at. And so that's really great. And it helps us be a little bit agile as well, because we knew, we had the majority of the task, but there's always something that seems to come up that we didn't think about, or we didn't, and it's easy to throw into that card wall with team dynamics. The team met on a regular basis. So we did weekly meetings, we did bi-weekly meetings as they were warranted. And we started off with weekly. There were times that we made these adjustments to when we were meeting to make sure work had been progressing. Nobody wants to meet just to meet. So we wanted to make sure that we had done the work, that there needed to be a meeting to then catch up to where we were, or to determine what else needed to be done. So, and at times with this project, there were times where we would have an update meeting, and sometimes those became actually work meetings as well. And that didn't happen a lot. We made sure that we knew where we were at, but if we needed to sit down and work through something, then that's something we certainly did. So we definitely kept project updated, project management wise, and moved forward. So as Angela, I think, had touched on just a little bit, maybe communication for this project was essential. I mean, it is for most projects. You don't want ever people to not know what's going on, but sometimes that's internally within your own department. This was touching every faculty member and every staff person on campus. They were changing. It was going to happen, and they were going to have to utilize something different. We had already went through some fairly large projects on our campus. And so we certainly didn't want our folks to feel like, oh, great, here comes another change from ITS. What are they doing to us now? So we took a lot of different steps and really thought through, how do we communicate to them? What do we need to do? And we did a variety of things. We would meet with deans and chairs and inform their groups that, this is coming, here's the time frame. We started well enough ahead that they had an entire school year to prepare for this, if not longer. And so we touched base with them. We sent out emails as necessary. We didn't want to do it excessively. We didn't want to over communicate, but we didn't want to under communicate. So that's a real tricky line to try to determine exactly what to do, where they feel like they're informed, but they don't feel like that it becomes noise. We did a postcard announcement, knowing that sometimes things get lost in your email. And sometimes if that was done in a mass way, that those get lost. So we want to make sure that everybody, and there were other folks on campus that don't use email quite as much as others. And so we needed to find other ways to communicate with them. We created an FAQ webpage. And then most importantly, we set up training to inform campus and to make sure that they were going to feel comfortable. So the focus was the ease of the transition of email that, again, affected every user outside of students. Students, this did not affect, but every faculty and staff member. And we needed to get that information out as soon as we could. As soon as we knew where we were going, kind of dates we had set, we needed to provide every opportunity for the users to be ready and know exactly what to expect, what was coming and what was changing. And so this was definitely a huge part of this project being a success.
Okay, I think I'm up next. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the unpredictable threat that led to the target date change. So like Lou said, we've done all this work. And of course, we communicate by email. We're very picky about what we put in email because we think that after a while, it just becomes white noise for most people. For this particular plan, we, like many of our big plans, we also meet with deans and chairs on a regular basis. Our ITS leadership does. And we even had really clever little postcards printed up and sent out to every employee's mailbox for this one. We just didn't want to take a chance of anyone missing the opportunity to get trained. So, we have folks just like you do that work in physical plant and landscaping, and they don't sit at a computer every day. So reading email is not something they're going to see every day necessarily. And so we wanted to really go that extra mile. And we typically do with our big projects. We try not to do everything in email. We try lots of face-to-face. And when we have to, we send out postcards or something clever. We've even sent out candy bars with messages on them before. So we try and do some clever things to make sure that people know what's coming. So we did all that work, and then here comes this threat. So I'm sure that you guys have probably seen this guy around before. Well, surprise, surprise. Yes, that's what happened to us. We had quite a surprise. So let me give you some background on what happened when we thought we were in really good shape. Like I said, we had all kinds of data moved over. Campus was communicated to. We were excited to get training underway for the summer. And then in early May of 2019, a concern arose for our infrastructure and security team with our Zimber on-prem email. What we found out, and that Zimber didn't even know yet, is that there was a vulnerability. And so our Zimber server was being used for Bitcoin mining. And that was fun. Our very talented infrastructure and security team went in and blocked the hackers that were in there. And so we didn't hear from them for days. And then all of a sudden we'd see an uptick on CPU, and they had figured out a way to go around things. And, after a few days of this, we were like, you know what, we're not going to chance it. We could tell that no data had been compromised or anything like that. Our vote was, hey, everybody that logs in to email is going to have to log in using VPN. As you can imagine, most people were off campus, right? It's summer. So we had to teach people how to do that. And many people that weren't used to doing it did not enjoy it. And we said, we're going to move. We're going to go ahead and move to Outlook. It's 6 weeks early, but we felt like we could do it. We already had so much data moved over. So there was a lot of pressure on our email guru, Daryl Needham, to get that taken care of, but he did it. And the INS team did a great job. The development team had some work to do, and they chipped right in and took care of it too. And we just came together as a team in kind of a crisis and took care of it. We have a way of working in our department when something needs to be done quickly and down and dirty, or we have something that we need to finish out by a deadline and we're close, but we could use a few extra hands. We put together what we call a pit crew, and we all come in and we work together. And we did a pit crew on this. We just pit crewed it and we hammered it out. The big piece was that we had to communicate to campus. So that was really fun, to do. We wanted to be careful about how we did that because of the security aspect of it. So we had to be really creative, but we did it. We could not have done this if we hadn't had a great project plan in place. There's no doubt about it. We followed that plan to a T. We just moved the dates up. If we hadn't met all of our milestones with the data migration in the previous months, we couldn't have done it. So that plan really, really did save us. The next thing that we wanted to visit about were the adjustments that we made. And I've gone over some of those, but really we had to have change management to the already change management that we had in place. So we communicated very openly with President's Council about what was happening. We had to remember the human side of such a change. When people aren't expecting a big change, especially faculty that may have thousands of emails on the on-prem system and they're already worried about emails being moved or lost, even though that didn't happen. It didn't happen in a way that we couldn't fix anyway. There were a few spots that it happened. we had to be very careful and very cognizant of that human side of this change, and the communication level needed to be high. It needed to be comforting, all of those things. So we looked at every layer of the plan to see what was left to do and the ripple effects to that plan, to the people involved, the systems involved, that comes with this change. We communicated why the change was necessary, but we did it without creating panic. It was our goal to let folks know that we were there to support them day or night, no matter what happened. We took ownership of the change and the date. We prepared for possible fallout from the ripple effects. We knew that if word got out of what we were dealing with Bitcoin mining, that we might not just have this issue to deal with, but we might have an issue where we've got PR issues that we have to deal with at the same time that we're trying to get people over to this new email system. So we were very careful. We were transparent, but we didn't create panic. We made a really good decision really quickly to move and get those folks off, get those servers turned off. No one connected to email if they weren't using VPN, which was secure, and we had no data loss. So we were very thrilled with how that went. Internal department communications were just as important. We were very transparent with everybody in the department. We told them that we would need all hands on deck. Our support services area was critical to supporting our faculty and staff. We made everyone understand, and we all really get this now in the COVID-19 days, but it was fluid. We had to be willing to pivot. We're used to following our plans, meeting our milestones, but we had to be willing to be fluid and pivot on a dime as new things came up. And actually, I think that this experience has helped us greatly with the pandemic, our department in particular with the pandemic, which is, I guess, kind of a little pre-training to the real deal. We made sure to give lots of accolades where they were due and really keep morale high. And we wanted to not lose the culture that we had. We weren't used to having something like this happen. And we didn't want anyone to feel like we weren't doing things the PSU ITS way. So we really used that pre-established culture that we already had in place, that team atmosphere, that open transparency, that open to suggestion kind of environment, to make sure that we had everybody on board with us. Again, something that's been very nice during the COVID-19 days. We've also used those same kinds of methods of creating good morale and continuing good culture. External communication, we had, like I mentioned, had to talk to people about using VPN. We use very simple visual directions. We use PDFs and video to share with people. We tried to break things down to make it as simple and quick as possible. We used Yammer quite a bit, our university Yammer all company wall, and that was very helpful. We also sent out some messages through our emergency alert system, just a few because we didn't want to overdo it. It does send phone, email, and text messages, but to alert people to go check out directions on how to access Outlook and the new date that we would be moving to Outlook. So we kind of drove them to a site to see all of this information. And we really kept up that tone and transparency to try not to create panic amongst our folks outside of ITS. So Lou's going to talk to us a little bit about how, if we hadn't had project management, how this might have been a little rougher.
Thanks. Yeah, so if we hadn't had a plan and quite frankly started when we did and had been progressing forward and getting, you know, the appropriate tools to make the change, to have the dedicated resources, and this wouldn't have been able to happen. We had stayed on track for the most part. Things had went pretty smoothly, but not every project goes completely smooth. Like Angela said, we knew that even after this, that there were going to be things that we kind of had to clean up because we did have to go early. But we had set those milestones and we hit them. That was a huge part of it. We had the priority set from the president's office down, and that was clear to our team. And so that allowed for the resources that were on this, specifically our email admin, to really dedicate at the time he needed to complete his task and stay on task and stay on track. And he knew, and others knew, that as they needed to, they could move other things to a back burner state, or possibly have someone else in the department who maybe wasn't directly involved in this project help out with those things. And so that was a really big deal to be able to stay on track, and that put us in a really good spot to be able to, when this unfortunate situation came up, that we could move quicker and we could be more agile. Training was huge. We knew that we had already started training. We were already, the folks out there on campus knew that this was coming. We had determined and prioritized the individuals that we thought would be affected more or most than some of the other users, due to a variety of things like calendars that they did for a department, or administrative level people that just had more responsibilities. And so with that, and them knowing that things were coming, and having that training in place, and actually already starting that training, we didn't have to scramble to get users comfortable or to a comfortable spot. We were, again, as Angela had said, very transparent. And in fact, there were several folks, as soon as we said we were going to move to Outlook, who were eager to be early adopters. They maybe had utilized it in a previous place of employment or something, and they were eager to get back to it. And so testing with those folks helped us develop our training even better, to help others. Again, the communication was key. It truly, truly was. Not just internally, because, us working in IT and being in touch with each other, on a daily basis for the most part, and just having those checkups was big, but having that communication across to everyone, and then helping them understand, this is something we have to do. And we didn't really get, too much pushback on it. Everybody, I think, felt pretty comfortable when we did have to go that way. There were some things and a little bit of, anxiousness, I guess, but for the most part, it turned out pretty well. And so when we did realize that we had this change that we needed to do, we immediately sat down, set new milestones, set new objectives. And as we needed to, we cleared calendars, and we had work sessions, and we did whatever we needed to do to get it done. So what lessons did we learn? Well, again, preparation is key. The more you can be prepared, even for the unexpected, the better. That's just pretty much a given. A good plan can save you. And I think we really had that when we sat down from the very beginning and scoped it out, and we knew what things we were going to have to do. The work, not just the work ethic of others, but the communication and the working together through the different challenges that we had were big. Communication leads to success. That's pretty much it. Without that, this would not have been, we would have been in a lot worse spot than we were. And being prepared for the unexpected. Are you ever prepared for the unexpected? We know that more now than probably we ever have. But the little bit that you can take from other things, from previous projects or situations, is very helpful. And so just doing the best you can, be prepared. And then quite frankly, for PSU and for our campus, it had to be a whatever it takes attitude. We are very much that way. If that means extra hours, if that means weekends, and some of this was weekends when we did the final migration of emails and things like that, that wasn't happening during work hours. That was happening over a weekend. And so you're asking folks who are very willing to do that because they know it's what's best, best for the campus and best for overall. So, and to be very honest, a little bit of luck didn't hurt us on this one too. So the timing and where we were at and what we had already accomplished so far was was at a kind of a lucky state as well too.
I've put our names up there just as a reminder. Please feel free to reach out to us. I know we're really short on time, so I don't know if we'll be able to if we'll have time to take questions. I'll go ahead and stop sharing the screen. And if you'd like to email us any questions, or if you'd like any of our documentations on our process for project management, we are happy to share that. I'm sure that you could improve upon what we're doing, and we could learn from others as well. So I don't know, Karis, if we have time for questions or if we're past that mark.
I'm sorry, I was trying to get my video. We actually, there aren't any on the Google Docs form at this time, but they have been kind of coming in later. So at this time, no, but we very much appreciate your presentation, and please again excuse my technical difficulties, and we just appreciate everybody being here very much.
Thank you. We appreciate all that you guys have done to make it our first virtual conference. Very impressive. Thank you.